How you doing on this fine day, folks? It's your boy Arturo here from Dream Build Live, of course, partner in ecotech.net and flightplan.us. And you know what we do. We help you make money. We help you grow businesses, launch what you want, change your life. Anyway, that's not the point of this. I wanted to talk to you today briefly. I wanted to give you a few more sales tips. You know, we haven't been talking about sales enough lately, and damn it, that's where all the money's at. So we've spoken about a few things before pertaining to sales, right? We've talked about understanding good opportunities, you know, how to qualify. If you haven't, check out those videos. Hold on, we're going to let Freya in. That's the cat. So what I wanted to talk to you today about, and of course, we talked about finding the right target profile. So today I wanted to talk to you about, you know, how to actually drive and speed up a sales cycle, right? That's the eternal question, you know, because obviously you want to sell things, but not just sell them. What you want to do is sell a ton of them, and you want to sell them fast. So, you know, I wanted to talk to you about that and a couple little pointers and things that we could do there to help you out. So if you give me a second, let me try to set this camera thing up, and we'll get moving. Still not real good at this part. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, so let's flip that puppy over. All right, excellent. So I want to talk about these things. So when you're starting a sales cycle, first and foremost, where do people drop the ball? Talking about moving a sales cycle along. Well, they're not clear on one thing, right? And we talked about the things you have to know you even have a deal to begin with, right? So what is the one thing? When? So when do you need it? All right, great. I need it in 2 months. That's not the answer. The answer is, why do you need it in 2 months? What is the impending event? What happens if you do not act? Right then and there, that's the easiest way to move a sales cycle quickly. I'm going to explain how. Because if there is no impending event, it's probably a want. And a want is not the same as a need. Also, consider who is delivering that message. All right, in an enterprise setting, you know, if you're talking to a system admin, that's not the person. All right, same thing for small businesses, medium businesses. If you are not talking to the people that sign the checks or have the authority to sign them without checking with somebody, first and foremost, you missed the boat. So now let's make the assumption that we actually have a real deal, that there is a hard impending event, and you understand 2 core items. Now, you need to understand these and understand them well. 1, first and foremost, why does it have to be that? Be very clear on that. Is there an audit? Is it going to cost them money? Is there a big deal that they won't be able to sign if they don't have something in place? Is there, a small business launch? Whatever that may be. Are they moving offices? What is it? Now, the next question is, what happens if you do not do this? Very simple. Very simple. You have to understand that at its core. In fact, you know, understanding what happens if you don't act is probably more important. Now, again, you know, I've said this in probably every video that I've referenced sales. You know, people inevitably don't care about your business. They don't care about your products. They don't care about services. They care about a result. And if you don't understand what that result is and what happens if they don't act, you're never going to do it. More importantly, I've said this as well, 60% of deals aren't lost to competition. Again, your competition isn't who you think it is. Your competition is status quo. That's the competition. Again, 6 out of 10 deals, and it may have increased since I've done the research. All right, don't close. They actually go to no decision. There's no deal because nobody understood that it was a need when really it was a want. So now let's assume we have that piece down pat and we got that down well. So what's next? How do you drive a cycle? Well, it's simple. In an enterprise process, you know, if you're dealing with enterprise companies selling enterprise solutions, I'll tell you what I do. You know, and this is for technology sales. This is also true for other sales, you know, that are dealing with large enterprise. You want to align yourself with the business contacts. You know, you want to align yourself, you know, as the salesperson, as the business person. You want to align yourself with the people, your peers, okay, the business decision makers that are actually calling the shots, right? And you align to them by understanding and at its core, understanding what we just talked about. When, Why and what if you don't? Okay? Now, you get a commitment from them. And how do you do that? So once you've realized what that need is and what's going on and you're working through this process, you always want to do one very important thing. All right, and this is probably one of the simplest tricks to move sales cycles along that for whatever reason people don't do. I don't know if it's lazy. I don't know if they just never had somebody like me tell them. So let me tell you now, it's this simple. When you're done any meeting, any conversation, when you're done anything of this variety, you send a recap email. Yes, yes, this magical tool is a simple recap email. And how do you do it? You set it up in a real easy way. Company, is responsible to do this that we talked about by this date. You, respective prospect, client, whatever, fan, you are going to do A, B, C, D, and you're going to do A, B, C, D by this date, this date, this date. Roles and responsibilities. So first, recap the initiatives. Recap what it is they want, what it is that's impending, what's that impending event. Then you add in what happens if they do not act. Then you add the action items, the steps required to get to that desired outcome, that mutual result. And you use inclusive language, our project, our goal. Now, in that very email, and it's so simple, but psychologically, it does something to people. You ask them to confirm it for accuracy. You ask them if this is right, and you make sure they respond. Now, it doesn't sound like a big deal, but as things go down a sales cycle, what we'll do, and again, this is true for technology sales, but many other enterprise sales, and again, this is the same thing you can use selling things door to door to small businesses, because people feel obligated. So now when something goes off track, what I would do in an instance, I would go to my leadership sponsor, the CEO, CIO, CFO, whoever that person is, and say, hey, listen, I noticed that Jim, one of the doers, didn't get A, B, and C done, and we can't get a hold of him now. I want to understand if this project is no longer viable, let me know, it's no problem. I just want to know if I should pull my resources off this project. Now, again, you can adopt this to any form of sale. Now, of course, is it going to have the same impact? Maybe not, all right? So I get it. And if you want to leave me 50 comments about it, that's fine. But this is something very simple and it's psychological, all right? Even myself, all right, and with Ecotech, Dream, Build, Live, these things that we sell, even something as simple as a business website, I get those timelines from people. That's right. Because innately, when somebody with their own mouth, with their own words, confirms something, they want to stick to it. And this does something else. It also very quickly will let you know when something goes off track. Because they're also more apt to come to you and say, you know what? Yeah, right now we're putting this back on the back burner. Let's revisit this in 3 months. Very, very, very simple. Now, again, as this sales cycle progresses, let's say we, found the solution. Let's say we found the project. We're moving to close. What happens? Now, it depends. Obviously, negotiations vary, right? You could be dealing with a mom and pop shop with the best negotiator on the planet, or, you could be dealing with, frankly, professional negotiators, purchasers that maybe are a lot more flexible than you would expect. The key in working with these organizations and, kind of closing and driving to close is simple. Stick to your guns. Stick to your guns, stick to your value. Know what you are worth. Know what the product is worth. Know what the outcome is worth. And how do you do that? How do you speed things up? How do you make it clear what the value is? So for instance, I've always done total cost of ownership models. I've done return on investment models for people. That's right. Sometimes you got to do a lot more work than your average Joe if you don't want those average results. So you have to be willing to step it up. You have to be willing to push a little harder. Now, the other thing is when you're selling services that traditionally are not thought of as, something that's an investment, traditionally thought of as really an expense. And again, this is, and I know any of you people selling solutions out there, sometimes it's hard to get to that, that number, but the reality is it's there. You can create that value if required. The reality is that it's actually not as hard as one would think, and I'll take a perfect example, and I use this all the time. All right, and I don't care if I'm selling a security service. I don't care if I'm selling cloud services. I don't care, what it is that I'm selling. When you're speaking to people, you have to find a way to express to them that they can use this, and again, this is for really more enterprise businesses, that they can use these traditional services that are thought of as costs, as expenses, and turn them into a value proposition. All right, and this is a good way to discuss it. All right, and I use this frequently, and please feel free to use this in your repertoire. And it's just simple. I tell people, you imagine the first person that started offering an SLA, the kind of money they were making. Yeah, well, now it's standardized. Everybody does it, of course. But let me ask you this. You're talking about the cost of this disaster recovery service. You're talking about the cost of this security service. Have you considered the fact that in your industry, the reality, and this is true for almost every industry, the differentiators between competitors, frankly, are more and more marginal? And I'm not saying this is going to be life-changing, but the reality is that if you are utilizing these things as part of your augmented value proposition to your customers, this can help you win in those highly competitive deals. And if you're not the first one doing it and talking to these things and speaking to this added value, no, your competitor probably will be. And you know what? What I'm saying is true. So think about that. Now, when you're actually getting to that price piece, now there's a lot more here to all of this, right? So I know I'm not giving it all away, and it's simple because I got to have things to sell you guys, right? So when you're getting towards the end of the deal, the one piece I'll say about the negotiating, and I've said this, is stick to your guns. If you've created the value, people will kick up the bucks. If you have done your job in understanding the problem, people will sign. And stick to your guns and don't drop your price, okay? If you don't believe it's worth it, why would anybody else? So anyway, listen, guys, I hope you found some value here. As always, take a look down there. Claim your free consultation. If you're getting that business started, you want your sales improved, what is it that you need? Let's get together. Let's have a conversation because this is what we do. We help you make more money. So listen, check us out as always. It's Arturo here. It's been a pleasure. Hope you enjoyed it. Check us out at iamdbl.com. Of course, at ecotech.net, ECCOTECH.net. And of course, flightplan.us. And when you're ready, you let us know, baby. Dream, build, live.